All right, number 8. The first thing you want to look for is the equal 0. We don't have an equal 0, so I want to move that 20x over. It's going to become a negative 20x. So I'm going to have 24x cubed minus 4x squared minus 20x equals 0. All right, now again I have an x cubed, so that's telling me that I'm going to have a GCF. X to the first is the smallest exponent, so x to the first is going to be my GCF. Now 24, 4, and 20, since I have a GCF for my variable, I'm going to look for my numbers, since this is a number that's not 1 on my x cubed. And 4 is my smallest number. 2 will go into all of these, but 4 will also go into all of these. So my GCF is going to be 4x. And when I take out a 4x, I'm going to be left with 4 will go into 24 6 times. 1x taken from 3x is left with x squared. The 4's are going to cancel in the second one. If I take 1x from 2, I'm just left with x. 4 will go into 25 times. The x's cancel out. So this is your factored form with a GCF. I'm going to bring that GCF down and put this in factored form further. Oops. And so when I do my bottoms up, I have 6 times 5 is 30. So I want to find the factors of 30 that subtract to give me a negative 1. So when I subtract to get a negative 1, I'm going to see if I can use my hint that we used the other time. The factors 6 and 5, can I subtract them to get negative 1? Yes. So 6 and 5 are going to be my factors of 30 that subtract to give me negative 1. And when you subtract, you have different signs. The bigger number is going to be negative. The smaller number is going to be positive. Now I'm going to divide by that leading term of 6x. We haven't done one of these in a while, not today at least. So when I divide by 6x, you want to reduce. So can I reduce the 6 over 6? Yes, 6 will go into 6 one time, 6 will go into 6 one time. So when I bottoms up, I have x minus 1. Can I reduce the 5 over 6? No. So 6x plus 5 is going to be factored form. Now that we have it in factored form, I'm going to set each factor equal to 0. So 4x, set that equal to 0. X minus 1, set that equal to 0. And 6x plus 5, set that equal to 0. On the first one, all I can do is divide by 4. So x equals 0. On the second one, all I can do is add 1 to both sides. So x equals 1. On the third one, I subtract 5 and then divide by 6. So x equals negative 5/6. Okay, so these are your 3 answers, and this is the first time we've had 3 answers. So when we put our 3 answers, it'll be 0, 1, negative 5/6. Okay, now we're going to start on number 9. Now notice number 9 has the equal 0, so I don't have to set anything or move anything over. And I also have 2 terms. And with 2 terms, you can do GCF and difference of 2 squares. Now it's looking like I'm going to have difference of 2 squares, but I can't take the square root of an a cubed. So let's look and see if I have an a in both groups. I do. So I can take out a GCF of a, and I'm left with 16a squared minus 9. I took 1a from 3, I'm left with 2. I took the 1a from the second group, and I'm just left with 9. Now, can I take the difference of 2 squares? Can I do that further? I can take the square root of 16. I can take the square root of a squared. I can take the square root of 9, and I have a minus in between. So I can do the difference of 2 squares. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of a squared is a. The square root of 9 is 3. One with the minus and one with the plus. Now I'm going to set each factor equal to 0. The first factor is a, and that's already solved. I'm going to set the second factor equal to 0 and the third factor equal to 0. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides and divide by 4. So A equals 3/4. I'm going to subtract 3 to both sides and divide by 4. So A equals -3/4. So again, I have 3 answers. I have 0, 3/4, and -3/4. All right, now let's look at number 10. Number 10 looks kind of crazy, and I'm going to rewrite it so it's not so close to the other one. We have the equal 0. We have 2 polynomials. Do not start doing the FOIL method or whatever with this one. Because it has x to the first, this indicates this is already in factored form. All I need to do is do factored form for this one. Okay? So this means that this 9x minus 5 can come down into my answer. Alright? And the reason why is because if we have an equal 0, you always want to make sure, if it's in factored form, that everything has x to the first power, and this one does not. So since this one does, this is already done, I'm going to bring it down to my answer. For my 10x squared minus 3x plus minus 4, I need to go ahead and factor that one further. So when I factor that one further, I'm going to look to see how many terms we have, and we have 3 terms. That means I look for a GCF if I can. I don't have a GCF. Then you want to do a perfect square trinomial or bottoms up. And I can't do a perfect square trinomial, so I'm going to have to do bottoms up. So I want to find the factors of 10 times 4 is 40 that subtract to give me a -3. So the factors of 40, and let's see if I can use that rule. If I subtract 10 and 4, I get 6, so I can't do a shortcut here. So 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 3 won't go into it, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. I can subtract 8 and 5 and get 3. Now when you subtract, you want different signs, and you want the sign of the middle term to be the same sign as the bigger number. So the bigger number is going to be negative, the smaller number is going to be positive. And I am going to divide by my bigger, or my leading term. My leading term is 10x squared. So the 10x will be what I divide by. And when I reduce, I have 8 over 10. What will go into both 8 and 10? 2. 2 will go into 8 4 times. 2 will go into 10 5 times. So let's bottoms up. And I have 5x minus 4. Alright, looking at the next factor, I have 10 and 5. Well, 5 will go into 5 1 time, 5 will go into 10 2 times. So when I bottoms up, I'm going to have 2x plus 1. Okay, now that I've factored, I can set these 2 factors equal to 0. And now I have 3 factors that I'm going to solve for. The first one, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I have 9x equals 5, divide by 9. And x equals 5/9. The second one, I add 4 to both sides. I have 5x equals 4, divide both sides by 5, and x equals 4/5. The last one, I subtract 1 to both sides. I have 2x equals -1, divide by 2, and x equals -1/2. So your answer will be 5/9, comma 4/5, comma -1/2. And this is your last section on factoring.